So today, the 1 year anniversary of the rescue package, one of the signature pieces of legislation of the Biden administration. And look, something we desperately needed, and it worked. Yes. And this is where I think Democrats have done a poor job always. For the last year, they should have been saying, it's been 100 days since we passed the rescue package. It's been 120 days since we passed the rescue package, and this is how wonderful it's been. They never do the horn blowing. It's the same thing that they did during the Obama term. When they did the stimulus back then, they didn't do enough. Hey, look how wonderful this worked. Because you know what? When Obama did his stimulus, it worked. It wasn't enough. It should have been bigger. I was saying it should have been chunkier, should have been much more of a shock. We needed more priming of the pump, but it worked. Which is why I think today is an important day to talk about just how well it worked. And that's why I've asked our good friend Laura Packard to come talk with us. Laura is a stage 4 cancer survivor, a healthcare advocate, and host of the weekly ACT TV program, Health Talk. Laura, thanks for taking time for us.
Thanks for having me.
So, the 1 year anniversary, good stuff. Why haven't we heard more about this?
Well, I think you're right in that the Biden administration and perhaps Democrats in general are better at doing things and not so good at the talking about the things that they're doing. And so a year ago, this great bill was passed and people got checks in the mail. They got child tax credits. Millions of people were able to afford health insurance for the first time. And yet we haven't talked about it.
Millions of people got health care for the first time. And now, guess what else is happening? Oh, yeah, Ron Johnson's going to repeal Obamacare.
Yes, he said the quiet part out loud. He said that if Republicans take back control, one of the first things that they should do is repeal the Affordable Care Act, aka Obamacare. And then he had to immediately backtrack and say, "Oh, I was just joking." But we know that this is what they want to do because this is what they have been talking about for over a decade. We know if they get the opportunity, they will vote again to strip away our health care.
But here again, I come back to this, and you look at all of the things that Biden's plan did. You look at all the things that the Obamacare did. You look at the Obama stimulus plan and all the things that it did to help working people, to help raise the bottom up a little bit, both Democrats and Republicans alike. And in fact, I would argue, and this is the thing that ticks me off the most, I would argue that both of those plans helped red states probably more than they helped blue states, helped Republican voters much more than they helped Democratic voters. And still, these idiots keep voting against the people who have been helping them. It's mind-blowing to me.
Well, I think that there's a fundamental difference between the two parties in their philosophy, and that the Democrats want to help everybody and the Republicans want to help their wealthy donors. And so you see, when the Republicans took power in 2017, the one thing they managed to do was pass a big honking tax cut for rich people. And when the Democrats took power, one of the first things they did under Joe Biden a year ago was pass the American Rescue Plan and give checks to average people, increase health insurance, and so many more policies that, as you said, may benefit people in red states more than blue states because red states tend to be poorer. But for the Democrats in office, it isn't about just helping the people who voted for you. It's we are one country and helping everybody. And I wish that Republicans would think like that too.
Yeah, I do. Me too. Especially since you brought up the big tax cut. I had to look at Rick Scott's, the senator from Florida's 11-point plan, his beautiful plan, his 11-point plan, his culture war plan, the one where we're going to grow the American economy and starve Washington's economy and stop socialism, by raising taxes on the poorest 40% of the people in this country by $1,000 a year so that we can transfer that wealth upward to make sure we can continue to pay for those massive tax cuts that they gave to the very wealthy. Socialism in reverse.
hmm Yeah, well, the Republican Party is all about socialism for rich people. Everybody should put in their money, and then the rich people take it.
That's an interesting way of putting it. I like to say they just steal it from us, but because I always say the hardest day's work most rich people do is stealing money out of my pocket. Moving,
And Rick Scott, again, he said things out loud that he's not supposed to say. They're supposed to keep it quiet. Like Mitch McConnell said, I'm not going to tell you what our agenda is. You're going to elect us, and then we'll tell you.
isn't that amazing? Yeah, and this is the part that gets me. We used to elect people when they had ideas. And I look at Ohio, where you've got the governor there, Mike DeWine, who evidently not going to do debates because he's been out there a lot, so you should already know. And because he doesn't want to be around the other people, I guess COVID still is a concern for him. He doesn't want to be around four other people, so I guess that's a thing.
Well, they could also get the super long table that Putin has. If he's so concerned about being near other people, borrowed Putin's giant table. I'm sure he'd be happy to loan it to Republicans.
Yeah, we're really in twisted, bizarre times. But I want to go back to the anniversary of this rescue package because there were a lot of things in here that I think are important. That I really do think that people need to focus on because there's so much more that needs to be done. I mean, the president's agenda and the Build Back Better plan is probably, for the most part, done. I'm hoping that we can revive parts of it because there are some really popular things in it. But when you're talking to your constituents and your friends and people on your show, what is it that when you're going over this rescue plan, what is it that's most important to you? What do you find that your folks think are most important?
Well, the administration said today that there were 21% more signups for people enrolling in healthcare in 2021. And that is at least in part because the American Rescue Plan made health insurance plans cheaper. Over 5 million new people enrolled in healthcare last year. And so we need to keep it going because the American Rescue Plan help for working class people, it ends at the end of this year unless they extend it. So just like you said, there's a bunch of great things in the dearly departed Build Back Better. And at the State of the Union, Biden put forward Building a Better America, which is the new old agenda. And one of the things I hope that is in there is making health insurance more affordable because we need it.
No, and also in the rescue plan was a bunch of money for small businesses, which I don't think people talk about nearly enough. And look, was there going to be was there fraud? Was there abuse? Yeah, and I hope we find those criminals, and I hope we hold them accountable, and we hope we have perp walks and march them right into jail because in those moments, if you're taking advantage of those systems, you deserve to get held accountable. But for the most part, it worked as it was supposed to.
Mm-hmm. And any new program is always going to bring out grifters and fraudsters on the edges. And a well-run government goes after those people and holds them accountable. And that doesn't take away from the millions of people that benefit from help from our government. Our government is just us. It's we, the people, coming together and building things together like bridges that we can never do as individuals. And so I think we need to keep that in mind and help President Biden pass his agenda, building a better America.
Now that's the fight next, isn't it, Laura? I mean, ultimately, now while the rescue plan did what it was supposed to do, get us out of that period of time and help people with their rent, stay in their homes, help people get through the rough part by the little bit of extra money for unemployment. That interestingly enough, when Trump was in the White House, nobody seemed to have a problem with. But as soon as Biden gets in the White House, oh my gosh, nobody wants to work, evidently. Then it became the end of the world. There was some money in there for families. There was money in there for healthcare. It got us through the rough patch. Now the next series of investments I think we need are to help make this transition to a better future. And I've been saying that this is to help us get I don't know, kind of a reset of the last 40 years, help repair the social safety net that's been destroyed by 40 years of supply side voodoo Reaganomics and bad neoliberal policy. How do you see it?
I agree. And I think also it's important to note that Manchin said that he's willing to work on something and his priorities, because unfortunately we live in a world in which Joe Manchin's priorities are critical, is he wants to put money towards bringing down the deficit to help bring down inflation and also put money into climate. And that makes sense to me because we only have this one planet. And environmentalists keep saying every day that we're reaching the point of no return where irreparable damage has been done to our planet. And we don't have a planet B.
Yeah, it would be nice if we would have, I don't know, had this conversation, I don't know, 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago. Oh yeah, wait a minute. We did. Only there was a certain bunch of people that said no. In fact, I seem to remember, I was a kid, I was just a kid at the time. There was a certain president who put solar panels on the White House to heat the hot water of the White House. And then there was another president who came in and ripped them off. That president who put him on was Jimmy Carter. The one who ripped him off was Ronald Reagan. Yeah, I do remember that now, don't I? Yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah, and I mean, we could have done something about our rapidly warming planet decades ago. We should have, but here we are, and now we have to do something if we want our children and our grandchildren to still enjoy this planet.
It reminds me of my favorite Winston Churchill quote. Really, the only Winston Churchill quote I remember is Americans always do the right thing after doing everything else first.
Yep.
And here we are. Because look, you look at what's going on, the pandemic, now what's going on in Ukraine. You go, at some point, you got to wake up to the realities that maybe you got to be a little proactive. Maybe we should determine our own manufacturing bases. Maybe we should be bringing some of that manufacturing home. Maybe energy independence isn't a bad idea. Maybe some alternative stuff, get off the dirty stuff that clearly we're running out of. Because seriously, they're all flipped out that we're not taking the dirtiest oil on the planet and shipping it through the middle of our country, out of the country, into the international waters, and refining somewhere else as somehow to bring our prices down. And that is how we're going to solve our problems. I'm really lost here.
Yeah, I mean, that's just not how it works. That is people taking advantage of the situation we're in to push for their own agenda, as opposed to putting forth policies that would actually do something about gas prices.
Crazy times. So last question I've got for you. What do we do? What's the response? Where do we go? What's the marching order from the year anniversary forward? Because look, election time round the corner. They're talking Democratic reset. Biden's numbers are coming up. I think he's doing a great job with the response to the madman over there in Russia. I think he's pulled the world together in a way that I don't think anybody else could have. Thank goodness for Joe Biden in the White House in this moment. But what do you see going forward here?
Well, you should contact your senators and your representative, even though you may be sick of contacting your senators and representative, and tell them to vote for Joe Biden's economic agenda, to vote for the budget reconciliation bill or whatever they're calling it, to take care of our planet, lower healthcare costs, and all of those good things.
There you go.
And also, if you have healthcare questions, you should watch my show on Mondays at 4:30 Eastern on Care Talk.
There you go. Did I screw that up again? I called it Health Talk, didn't I?
Yeah, but close enough. You were in the ballpark.
I promise next time I will have it.
Just remember, Car Talk minus the E.
Oh, that's right. Care Talk. We will make sure we get it. Laura, I appreciate the time. As always, great stuff.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, our good friend Laura Packard. Make sure you check out Care Talk over there on ACT TV.